Well, welcome back to another Drinks Professionals Network Roundtable. It is April 1st, but this is no joke. This is for real. Welcome, everybody. I see a few more people are just coming in. I think that looks like it's Sherman's logo that I see. So we'll get him a minute to get, there he is.
Hey.
Hey, Sherman, how are you?
I'm well.
You're in the country.
I'm in the country. I actually am in Ruffin, North Carolina, in the deep country.
Ooh, nice. Blue skies. Looks nice.
Yep, a little cool. Yeah.
All right, well, I'd like to welcome everybody. We'll want to kind of dive right into it. Stephanie is not here this week. She has a little an elder care emergency. But I wanted to, I'm going to start right now with Sherman, because you're front and center. And I know that you're in the thick of kind of doing some proof of concept trials. So why don't you, I'm not sure that everyone here knows your story, but why don't you?
Yeah. Sherman Moore, typically in Nashville. I've been traveling the last couple of weeks working the North Carolina market, specifically down in Wilmington, kind of introducing what we're doing at Shared Spirits, which is a technology play around digital drink sharing. So for those who don't know, we built a software tool that allows for the conversion of marketing dollars from spirits, wine, and beer brands into digital drink credits that are then redeemed at participating on-premise accounts. And it's a good, cool way to build the direct-to-consumer market, and some of that first-party attribution, first-party data attribution and marketing attribution that you'd like to have, except it's in favor of on-premise accounts instead of retail. So it's kind of fun. And Michael, to your point, we will finish the progressive web app testing here in the next few days. The team's made great progress, and we'll go live probably next week, the week after that, and things are going according to schedule. And on a little bit of an update as it pertains to the market, we're seeing in Nashville, Michael, we're really being approached now by almost a brand a week to do in-store samplings. We can tell that market has really roared back. And I can end by offering a shout out to the group. I got a fabulous referral from Andy last week, Michael. Just a phenomenal referral. The guy he teed us up with was staggeringly important to us. I don't know how else to put it.
Well, that's great.
So the power of this little group continues to impress, my friend. There is no doubt.
I'm glad to hear that. And and I can't wait to be in markets where we can take advantage of it for the brands I'm involved with. So that's great. So let's pull back to Stephen Gould for a minute, another veteran of these gatherings, because you were mentioning to me your phone's blowing up, and we're still seeing this amazing moment in time where there is far more demand than there is supply for anything with age, quite frankly, even including new fill.
Well, and new fill's all I'm really capable of supplying right now. Everything I've got with age, I need for my own uses pretty much. But I'll tell you, I'm getting people from all over the world calling me because I do some sourcing as well. For those of you that don't know, that's not my business. But for example, David Pickrell and I used to be consulting, let's call it partners, though we never had a business together. He'd work for me, I'd work for him. But so when Blacken launched, I much to their chagrin, ended up sourcing about 40% of their original juice. It is, everybody I'm talking to out there is just screaming for juice. It's like nothing we've ever seen. So it is what it is. We here at Golden Moon are going to quadruple our capacity for Colorado single malt. And we're tap dancing real fast on our found spirit products to maintain our supply chains of juice we're getting from other people. And, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So let's talk a little bit, let's share a little bit more on the retail front, because you've got a pretty strong retail business there. And is that going gangbusters?
Do you mean our direct,
I mean,
our,
your speakeasy.
yeah, so for those of you that don't know, we own Golden Moon Speakeasy. It's a little teeny distillery tasting room with a world-class cocktail program. So much so that we've been named the top classic cocktail bar in Denver in the past. Last year, we were named Gin Bar of the Year by Gin Magazine, which is a global award. Not sure any other distillery tasting room has ever gotten an award of that type and stature before. It's pretty unique. We were just named by Visit Colorado. It's one of the 7 cocktail bars in Colorado that you must visit. So that's kind of cool. I kind of like that.
Yeah, that can't be bad for business.
No, we can't. We had our best year ever last year. We're coming off, first quarter is typically very slow for us, but we're coming off a fairly strong, our best first quarter ever. We just had the 8th anniversary. We're actually celebrating it next month, but it was last month, of the speakeasy. And you know, it's interesting. People want to be out. People want to be out and about.
Yeah.
And we're seeing more foot traffic in the distillery, lots more foot traffic in the speakeasy. Things are heading in a good direction.
I've noticed here in the Atlanta area, just going out, I'm in the city, the crowds are back. Places, you know, you can't even get in to some places. And I walked by a brunch restaurant that has a nice little Sunday cocktail program. The line of people waiting was around the
Oh
block.
yeah, I was in Tiburon this whole last week judging ADI's competition. ADI, so the American Distilling Institute does an annual tasting of spirits, and it's becoming more and more and more highly regarded. And this year I judged whiskey. I judge a lot of competitions. And we went out to, and Tiburon's a tiny little town that's sort of hidden across the bay from San Francisco. It's not really a tourist destination. It's mostly locals, mostly wealthy locals, I might add, but mostly locals. And we walked into a restaurant the first night we were there, and I've not seen a restaurant that busy since pre-COVID anywhere in the world. And I have been traveling in the last several months. I just came back from London where things are fully opened up. I was judging the International Wine and Spirits competition there 3 weeks ago. Again, whiskeys. For whatever reason, people have figured out that I'm not just a gin guy and I've been making whiskey a lot longer. And suddenly everyone wants me to judge whiskey again, which is nice. You know, London was hopping, but I got to tell you, this last weekend in the Bay Area, or this last week, you know, you couldn't tell we had a pandemic.
Yeah, that's amazing. Carrie, before you have to go, because I know, oh, hello, Michael Clancy's joined us.
I'm good. I'm in the car.
Do you want to give us a little taste? So you're in New York, so you're hitting the market.
Yep.
What's the wine perspective on where things are and where things are going?
Well, it's interesting because, I mean, as we all know, everything has kind of opened up again. We're coming into spring, so I think people are getting jazzed up about rosés, whites, just everything spring, summer in general. New York's a little bit slow to the mix because it's only like 40-something degrees right now. Atlanta's probably a little further along the way, along with South Carolina. But I think just traveling, going out, I think literally like the entire world is just excited to just get out and do stuff again.
That's great. That's crazy. Stephen, share. You're gonna have to unmute. Tell us what you're seeing. What you're seeing. What you're feeling.
Which Steve?
You. Oh, I'm sorry. You, Corman.
All right. So
from Stephen Gould. I'm sorry.
I'm in Portland, Maine. I am not a distiller, but I work with distillers. We owned a bar in the Old Port. Old Port right now is crazy already, even though it's still winter. Everyone is maxed out. It happened the same last year during the pandemic, but all my friends in the distilling business, I'm copying what Stephen Gould said. It's crazy. Everyone is 300% up from last year. And last year was like a couple 100% from the year before. So pre-pandemic numbers don't count anymore. I am a bitter producer, and we have our own product line for the cocktail industry. So just to give you, we had a bar in the Old Port that became the #1 rated cocktail bar in Maine. And what happened was Alton Brown found us and put us on the map. So there's stuff going on. Can you hear drilling inside? You can still follow. So we were already creating products that Bespoke Post, one of these kit makers. I have 3 pallets of products going out to them next week. So it'll be cool to see us on national advertisements where my bitters, I have a line now of 12 different bitters. I'm going to put another bitter on the market, probably in July, but I'm making bitters for other companies now. Before the pandemic, I wasn't making bitters for anybody except myself. Drink Fireside or Drink Union of Detroit, Michigan is putting my orange old fashioned bitter into their rye old fashioned 750 ml bottles. And I've already sold them 74 gallons of one bitter, orange old fashioned bitter. I didn't have an orange old fashioned bitter on my own line. So when they started using it, selling it, I said, damn, I may as well start bottling it. And it's my #1 selling bitter out of my 12. It's crazy.
Well, that's
So,
amazing.
yeah. So I'll take any questions, but you all have my website as of this morning. Check us out because we're now wholesaled all over the country now. We don't need a brick and mortar, but we got rid of our bar, #1 rated cocktail bar. Like I said, we got rid of our bar because we knew even before the pandemic, we needed a bigger spot. We bought an old church on Congress Street, downtown Portland, converting that into an event center with a bar because I'm too old to be a bar owner. I'm 65 years old. I am stronger because I'm on a bitters regimen of over 500 drops a day. My doctors tell me, I give blood every 3 months to make sure I'm not harming my body. No, they said, I have a body internally like someone in their 20s, not someone in their 60s.
500 drops a day?
A day. So I got my Maine pine bitters in my water, and I probably drink 4 to 6 pints of water a day with probably 100 drops of bitters. This is Maine pine. It's spruce pine, white pine, Chisandra, wormwood, gentian. I love bitter. I am part of the 1% of the 1% of the population that doesn't thrive on sweet. I love bitter. My coffee has my coffee bitters in here, a couple 100 drops of coffee bitters in here. So it takes time for me. It takes from when I wake up to when I go to sleep to get bitters in my body. Yeah.
So, because bitters originally were created as a medicinal.
That's right. There were no pharmacies until 1905 or 1906. Bitters were America's medicines all during the 1800s. And if you're old enough like me, if you watched black and white Westerns, there were Conestoga wagons with someone selling tonics in the 1800s, and they were known as quacks, but tonics are made from quinine that comes from cinchona bark, which is a bittering agent. It's healthy for you. That's it in a nutshell.
Of course,
and
tonic with all the sugar in it.
Exactly, but no, we
Little comment on that. It's healthy in certain quantities, but you can get quinine poisoning. Just be careful.
Exactly. Yeah, it's dangerous. The same as wormwood. And I probably drink more wormwood than anybody, but I'm still, it doesn't make you crazy. That's
the key to this is getting FDA buy-in so that you can actually advertise it. then
it's been out there for Maine pine prevented COVID. So I didn't advertise that, but my acupuncture did. And I started selling more Maine pine bitters and pine syrup. I'm the only one that wholesales pine syrup in the country now. It's crazy.
Well, Stephen, thank you for joining, because this is probably the most fun story I've
All
heard.
right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Raj, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. We just ended our best quarter ever, despite supply issues. We're constantly out of stock, but everything comes in, it goes out immediately. So shipping is still our biggest challenge that we're dealing with. I just heard from our UK freight forwarder that they're not even booking anything right now because there's such a backup. So I've got stock waiting to get shipped out, and it's probably going to be another month before they can even pick it up to send it
Wow.
over.
So the issue still is the shipping bottleneck. So from a production standpoint, the glass is there, it just can't get to where it needs to go.
Yeah, most of our suppliers have glass, have enough juice to put in bottles and labels and everything else. They've stocked up on that, but just getting stuff here. I've got 3 containers waiting to find space on a ship to get over here.
What about the price? Has it changed significantly with the?
We haven't taken we've got price increases coming through from our suppliers, but we haven't put any price increases in yet. We're scheduled June 1st, and we've notified all our distributors. We distribute in 46 states. And we try to keep it a minimum price increase, but they're obviously not surprised by it. But I think it's an elastic market. I don't see the price increases being an issue because the demand for product right now is still really high.
That's it's interesting that are you finding that there's we've had conversations in the past where there's people trading glass. Are you dealing with, someone has glass that they don't need, and and they'll take.
I think I'm not aware of that. I think people are just holding on to what they have. A lot of our suppliers have bespoke bottles, so they're obviously not trading those. But there's, the Oslos and the standard kind of bottles are used by the Scotch industry. Those are, everyone needs what they have, so I don't see a lot of trading going on.
All right, well, let's segue to Andrea. Tell us what's going on, Andrea. I see your back bar looks nice.
Oh, it's my storage closet.
I like your barn door, French barn doors, whatever you call them.
Thank you. Those are actually from like 1892. They're my favorites. Yeah, just just to kind of snowball off what you said earlier about Atlanta, it's just been incredible to see the people coming out in droves. It's really great to see that, on premise is having such a kickback, and it's exciting to know that, hopefully we're not going to be going in the opposite direction anytime soon. So that's been great. Running into the same kind of stuff that everyone else is. Honestly, we've got tequila right now that's sitting on the border that I can't get anyone to drive out to California. Bottles, our distillery just shut down because some idiot messed up a gas line. So, everything that could go wrong dumpster fire wise is pretty much happening. So it's where we are right now.
Yeah. So what is your main focus now? Is it still that kind of logistics, getting stuff, or is it just keeping up with the demand?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that, specifically with, the gin that I have, it's been doing quite well. Again, we had an issue getting containers to come over from the UK. So we finally got one in after being delayed about 8 months. So luckily it didn't hurt us because we had so much on, product sitting in New Jersey, but, it's all logistics at this point. Just a nightmare, but the demand's there. So we can't complain too much, right? I mean, it's not like I'm Jim Beam, like not having 1.75 glass bottles for the last 2 years. So can't complain too much, right?
Exactly. Well, Michael, tell us what's happening across the pond.
It's reassuring to hear people that side are having similar problems and issues to what's happening here. Bottles, energy costs, transport. With the Ukraine situation, that has just impacted on transport, on energy massively here. glass suppliers and stuff like that, their costs are just up all the time. Literally, price notification increase and availability being pushed back and stuff like that. Now we had to make a call there 3 or 4 weeks ago and basically commit forward to buying a load of glass, like much more than we've ever bought before in one go. But basically we just needed to do it because there was just no guarantee that we would have glass for the remainder of the year if we didn't do that. So that's the sort of stuff that's going on. It's but yeah, on the other side then the customer side is demand is good, and demand internationally, so we're growing internationally, and that's ramping up. So there's a little bit of uncertainty creeping into Europe on the demand side, particularly kind of northern and eastern Europe, but apart from that it's gung ho. Just at the moment, just booked our flights for Pro Wine, which is in Dusseldorf in May. I don't know if any of the rest of you are going. If you are, I'll touch base and say hello. Why don't we have a meet up if any of you are going over to Pro Wine?
Actually, tell us more about it. When that is.
So it is the what is it, 15th of May in Dusseldorf. So it's the big massive trade fair for wine and spirits, mostly. So it's huge. It's the biggest event, I would say, in the drinks calendar, certainly this side of the pond and possibly internationally.
Thank you for the link. I see that.
And it hasn't been held since 2019. So I think there's going to be massive interest in it this year.
Yeah.
Massive interest. So this is an event where, if you think of those big European exhibition centers, you have one big gigantic hall for Italian wines, one big gigantic hall for French wines, kind of smaller one for German wines and maybe partially spirits, and one big one for kind of New World wines, one big one for Spanish wines, Spanish and Portugal wines. So
are you doing Vinitaly as well?
No, just Pro Wine is the big one that we're doing this year. Yeah.
Is there one in Italy, Carrie, that's similar?
Yes, they're usually within like a week or two of each other.
Pro Wine would be reckoned to be the biggest one for us.
5,500 exhibitors.
Yeah.
Wow.
In Italy is actually Sunday the 10th of April. So if you haven't booked to go to it now, by now you're not going to be going, I would say. Where is that? That is it's in Verona. Very nice place to go to, actually. Actually I might, thanks for putting that, because my brother is going to Italy next week, I think. So that might be interesting thing to know. So so that's
if we don't arrange a meetup, we at least would like a full report.
Okay, I'll do my best. Hopefully we'll have a good show. I mean, it's the first we're exhibiting at it. We're exhibiting our ranges of whiskies and gins and vodkas. So we're on a kind of there's an Irish pavilion at it, so we'll be part of that. But yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to being back out and doing it. We've been doing a good few kind of tastings, online tastings, in-person tastings and stuff like that. They're ramping up big time here as well, so that's good.
Yeah, the tastings are coming back.
Yeah,
good thing. What else is anyone seeing that they want to, or what challenges do we want to throw out to the group that anyone has besides the ones we talked about, which are few and many? No. All right, so Sherman, I'm back to you. do you have an update on your new market timing? When you'll be?
Yeah, we're in the final testing now, Michael, as I anticipated we would be. And I'm still thinking we'll be live not on April 4th, but maybe April 11th, and be able to actually do some things. So the venues we do have on board now, the merchants we have on board, restaurant partners, will just be converted to the new system with a little training updates. And, you know, I've tested our stuff. You know, now that it's a streaming app instead of a downloadable app, I've tested it on 6-7-year-old Droid phones that have had not a single security update, and it still plays seamlessly and works fine. So I feel much more confident in what we can do as a customer experience now than we would have otherwise. So I'll keep you posted. You know,
Good.
I'll be hitting your calendar week after next.
Okay, good. Anxious to, you know, get updates, and we'd love
Thanks.
to.
Thanks
move on
much. I
this with
appreciate it.
Stephanie and- Yep, cool. All right, Stephen, what else? Stephen Corman, what else do you have from the Maine perspective? Oh, you're muted.
Personally, from our business, mason jars at the beginning was like, oh my God, even NPR did a story, what happened to all the mason jars? But I don't know if you guys know, but labels are the next thing. That supply is going to go down, because I work with 2 labeling companies for our products. And it's like, so we already are stockpiling labels of products that we already have now. It's crazy.
Why labels? Is it paper, or is it?
It's the paper supply, the supply chain, and employees. I mean, last week I got wind of finally employees are starting to come back and apply for jobs in the hospitality industry. Before the pandemic, Portland was hurting because we didn't have enough employees.
Right.
Throw the pandemic in there, and it's I just remember stories coming last year when things were semi-open. Everyone was exhausted Memorial Day weekend, and it was records all over the place. And it wasn't even summer yet. It was Memorial Day weekend. And so I talked to so many people in the industry. I said, it's not going to get any better. You know, cut a quarter of your restaurant space, or, you know, sliver down, you know, what you normally serve. That's it. And thank God for us, we don't have a brick and mortar. But with the church, you know, we bought the church. We'll be open, I think, in August or September. I don't have any employees. Nobody, no, you know.
I think the good news is going to be, there's going to be a lot of people who left hospitality to be real estate agents that are going to be coming back because there's nothing to sell. They're cannibalizing each other.
Like I said, Portland is the place for food, but it also is, we're a beer town. It's incredibly how many breweries around, but the cocktail scene is alive and well, and we can't wait to get back to it.
Yeah, well, you know, when it's alive this early in the season up there, that's quite a thing.
Yeah.
So I noticed, Michael, thank you for sharing that you're seeing the label issue. Same thing, board for shipper cartons, delays and everything. And Raj is asking if anyone else attended Vine Expo. I actually almost went, but I didn't. Did you went? Did it work? Was it good?
Yeah.
Well attended?
Well, it was, you know, I mean, like Michael talked about Pro Wine, which I've been to in the past. I mean, it's predominantly wine centric. There were a limited number of spirits there, and that's what I'm always looking for. But I did make some really interesting connections on some new products, including a great whiskey producer out of Lebanon that we're going to start importing. So there, you know, it wasn't a wasted opportunity, but certainly
What expo are we talking about?
Sorry,
I'm sorry. What expo were we talking about?
Vin Expo Drinks America, that was at the Javits Center in.
Okay, yeah, like 2 weeks ago, yes. And I actually did the show in Vegas last week, the restaurant expo, which is.
Was that well attended?
Yes, it was. And it was their first year that was actually with the word restaurant in it, because before it was like bar and nightclub or something, but yes,
Right, it was
well
nightclub and bar.
yeah, it was nightclub and bar show, and now it's called Restaurant and Bar Expo.
Yeah, I would recommend Bar Convent, Brooklyn,
Yeah.
if you haven't been to it.
That's a good-
It's at a new venue this year, and I think it'll be a better space than what they've used in the past. It's a 2-day event, a lot of educational as well as exhibitors. So it is worthwhile if you're looking for new products.
Yeah, I went to the last one before COVID, and it was really good.
Is it just the one, or do they do them? And I mean, I'll do anything to
They
stay
do
out of
one
New
in
York.
Berlin,
Are
they
they
do
anywhere
one in
else?
Berlin and in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Well, so they also own Imbibe in London as well. It's all Reed.
Hmm.
Right.
Okay, that one I'll actually go to.
I actually.
So I'll be doing all three this year.
Are you? Yeah, I think I'll be there. The interesting thing I thought about Bar Convent when I went was really a high level of participation from major brands and major players, but at the same time, you're really having a lot of mix and mingle with mixologists from some of the hot local bars, which is kind of an interesting way to be there. So you're not just talking, the wholesale business, but you're getting I was able to have some good conversations with on terms of trends and what they're seeing, and and that was in 2019. So I think it'll be interesting now to see. I actually did just get the list of attendees so far, so and it's pretty sizable.
What people have said to me over here about, so Bar Convent Berlin would be the original Bar Convent, and what people have kind of said here is Pro Wine is more for distributors, trade people. Bar Convent is for bartenders, and the word bartenders piss up for a week was used. That there's not as much serious business done at
I'd totally argue that. I would
no,
totally argue that.
that's I mean, that's what people have said.
I can tell you that I've done Pro Wine twice over several years. I've never gotten a single trade lead from Pro Wine that's panned out. And the vast majority, all but one of my countries in Europe, are connections I made at Berlin.
Okay.
And I'm in 5 countries in Europe.
Yeah. Anyway,
including,
I mean, it's
including our UK importer.
Yeah. It's no, we've done the online version of Bar Convent, and it was quite good as well. So I have to say that that in its defense, but that's the kind of view of the in-person event, is that certainly bartenders use it as it's their week's holidays, it's
Yeah.
Well, I've done Berlin 5 of the last 7 years. It's been great. It's been an amazing tool, where Pro Wine has been a lot of money for not a lot of for a small producer, not a lot of return.
I think the challenge always is when you're dealing with these major expos, there's just so many people there, and it's hard to really know that you're getting a high quality time with them. And I think one of the things that struck me about Bar Convent, because it's a bit more intimate, is it, as I said, I felt like in some ways I made some of the highest level connections I've made in the industry there. And at the same time, half the attendees were bartenders. So it was kind of, played both sides of it. I remember I met Jürgen Diebel, who's joined us at Bar Convent. I met Sam Brown at Bar Convent. So yeah, anyway, we're not here to promote other people's trade shows, but it's good to share the insights. All right, so Andrea, what else are you seeing out there? What's on your agenda for the next 6 months?
To sell as much product as possible. Isn't that everybody's agenda?
There you go. Do you need a bourbon?
Actually, I just picked up Bardstown,
Oh,
which is doing some really incredible stuff. That distillery, if you guys haven't been, is absolutely fantastic. They're taking a very interesting approach to kind of re-imaging what an established whiskey in Kentucky is, especially when it's right on Bluegrass Parkway there with everybody else, like Four Roses and Jim Beam. They've been making whiskey forever, and they have, the older established distilleries. I mean, they're doing, so much more of a modern take. Like there's a chef on site with a restaurant. Like it's absolutely beautiful. And they, I think, had, when we were just up there 2 weeks ago, 11 rick houses, and they were building 3 more, and they just purchased 200 additional acres behind the distillery to expand even more.
Acquired by the Pritzker family.
which
So
was a
major
great
private
acquisition.
equity.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's going to give them a lot more freedom. I mean, we all know this, but you know, they were the Constellation had 10% of that brand. They were one of their venture brands or whatever. And they're the only one in history that's ever actually bought out those Constellation shares. So, I mean, obviously they're doing something right and they're moving in the best direction they could possibly be moving. It's going to be a nice big brand here moving forward. But I mean, the whiskey that they're putting out, it's just amazing. And I'm so specific about what I bring into my portfolio. And that's why I'm growing it slowly but surely. And it's just a really beautiful addition. So that's been great. But I'm very intrigued with this bitters. I'm going to reach out to you, Steve, on a different, I'm going to email you because I'm very intrigued with that, especially when it comes to pine anything. I'm all in.
Oh, yeah,
I have like over 200
good.
gins in that closet right there. So, a
Andrea,
little bit of-
I'm going to put my email right now.
okay, great. But
'Cause
yeah,
we're wholesaling all over the country. Love to pick you up.
awesome.
Yay, excellent.
Perfect.
Yay.
But yeah, that's about it. That and just trying to stay, I mean, Michael, you know this, just trying to stay above all the pollen that's just encapsulating the entire state right now. So
I don't know if anyone has ever been in the South or in Atlanta specifically at the end of March, beginning of April, but it's like it's snowing outside, but it's pollen. My car, I got washed 5 days ago, and 1 day later it was totally covered in yellow. And today I was trying to drive fast to see what would blow off, and nothing did. But
Same here in North Carolina.
yeah, it's crazy.
See, you guys
incredible.
we won't hit that until the end of May. That's how cold it is still here. We
Yeah.
can still get snowstorms in April in Maine. It's crazy.
yeah, you keep that crap up there, please.
Yeah.
keep it up there.
Don't
Although,
worry, Andrea. Good.
you know,
I love it. Yeah.
The irony is that it has snowed here in Atlanta in April and May, and there've been some bad storms. In 1993, it snowed the first week in May, and it was after it was warm, and it totally shut down the place. And then in I know I'm going way back in the history books here, but the first year I moved to Atlanta in 1981, in the spring of 82, in March, it was the whole city was shut down for a week. It was March 20th, I think, or March 17th. It was like totally, and I thought, I'm from Boston. Why is everything shut down? And then I realized, holy shit, because everything's ice underneath. And you drive up a hill and your car is going backwards.
The South doesn't have the equipment to clear. And in Maine, we do. You know, we're used to.
But that's
we're used
not
to it.
the
That's
whole
it.
thing. We don't
Yeah.
have to, I figured out the science of it. It's not complicated. The ground never freezes here. Your ground is frozen.
Yeah.
So it's never freezes here. So here it's warm. So when you get
Melts.
ice or
Right.
snow or whatever, it melts, and that first layer is always going to be a skating rink. You know. Anyway, let's not get into that.
All right.
Yes. All right. So let's. I want to bring up something that Stephanie we emailed about, and I think, as you know, when we started these 14 months ago, it was these Drinks Professionals Network were basically in the model of what Real Professionals Network, which is what Stephanie is the general manager of, and is focused on bringing people together from across different disciplines in the commercial real estate industry. And they had made a COVID pivot from in-person meetings to Zoom meetings. It was really working well. And the part of it that was working well were the industry-wide roundtables, right? Which is something that they hadn't really done previously, because it was people gathering in a conference room, 12, 15 people. And in their world, it was, a tenant rep and a leasing agent and a construction company and a lawyer and a whatever. And in our case, it's a bitters, producer. It's an Irish whiskey brand. It's a Colorado producer. It's a tech. It's a glass. It's a, I don't know what I am, and that's part of what the beauty of it is. So when we originally did the model, it was to be a subscription based and a sponsored based. And then I made the decision to say, Stephanie, let's not charge. Let's just keep doing these roundtables because the quality of people coming back is great. And the fact is that, we're on this call where 80% of the attendees, even though it's a small turnout this month, 80% are people that I consider regulars. And the regulars really are, a very important part of this, but it's also equally, if not more important, to make sure that we're having new people cycling through, maybe deciding to be regulars, bringing the new perspectives that we've heard today. And so we've kind of, what I did is we invested in some advertising, you probably noticed over the past couple months, where we were promoting Drinks Professionals every day in the WSWA email. And in the past few months, we've had a lot of new people, participate. And I think we felt the value of that. So what Stephanie and I have proposed, and this will just be a mini discussion, and we've already heard from a number of you, is coming up with something that really we don't want it to be burdensome. We want to create a marketing fund for all of our benefits so that we can continue to do paid promotion to get new people in, and not crazy stuff, but just enough to get people to participate, and that we're all really investing in wanting to maintain a good, ongoing, valuable, it's not easy to carve out 90 minutes on a Friday, but we're all doing it because we see the value, and we know everyone's schedules can be crazy and not everyone can make it every time. So we proposed a $300 a year, billed as $25 a month, to a credit card, just to be a founding member. And part of it's yes, it's building a marketing fund, but part of it's also, we want to try to kind of merchandise the participation. So those of us who are regular participants who bring experienced perspective to these conversations, that we would then use that as kind of you're a founding member or a founding participating member in Drinks Professionals Network, and it's something you can put on your LinkedIn profile, and we can create, my plan is, and this is for discussion, I'd love feedback, creating a Drinks Professionals Network community on LinkedIn that can support this. We're all in a variety of the same groups, but really kind of create one that can foster the connections via LinkedIn that we're forging here in a more kind of controlled way. So that's the thought, and I want to just throw it out there if anyone has any comments, questions, or better ideas.
I was glad to hear it, Michael. I got back with Stephanie the instant I got the email via text and let her know I was in. So, I just think it's really important. And this group's been incredibly valuable. When you get potentially company changing referrals from people with a group this small, good gosh, you're in the right room. And for me, that's pretty obvious. So
appreciate that. Thank you. Stephen? Colorado, Stephen? Not Maine, Stephen?
Well, I already said yes to this, so I think it's a good organization. I think that there's a lot of good comes from just being able to share what's going on in the industry. So yeah, I think this adds value, and I'm going to continue to participate.
Great. I should share a couple of headlines. You may remember Bill Kratzis has participated in a few of these. He was Gunner's Bourbon, a wheated bourbon out of Florida. And as of through Drinks Professionals Network, we were able to make introductions, and he has been fully funded for the build out, the acquisition of the historic building in Kansas, and it's in the process of being turned into a full working distillery. And it is also going to be shifting to a Kansas farmer sourced wheat. So it'll be truly the first true wheated bourbon from the wheat state, or at least on a national level. And that all came through. I met Bill through this, and he told me what his pain point was, and we were able to introduce him to a group that happened to be Kansas-based that we were dealing with, unrelated, and that all closed about a month ago. So that's a success story that came through this. And you all know Sam Brown, who I did meet through, as I mentioned, our Convent, but Sam has acquired Joe Louis Bourbon, and that wouldn't have happened if it weren't for this. He literally called me after one of the sessions and said, I'm looking for a distillery, but I'd like brands too. And that deal took place, at the end of December. So, real stuff. So, Michael, Michael, you keep coming back, and you've got a great and valuable perspective from the other side. But what do you see as
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's interesting as much as anything else for me. We're not in the US yet, so it's probably less valuable to me, being perfectly honest. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, I think, look, for what it is, I mean, I think I'll probably go for it. And yeah, look, I think it's building a network for me for when we do push ourselves into the US. So and maybe there's other opportunities that might arise out of it as well. So
yeah, no, I think that
the funding is an interesting one, actually. So we're in a fundraising phase at the moment, and one of the elements of that is kind of cask sales. So basically that could be something that could be of interest. There could be somebody on the call, or somebody on in the network that may be able to assist with that or whatever. So
that just made an alarm bell go off in my head.
And it did.
I don't know why I haven't. You can do. You're not prohibited from selling casks to individual investors, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Which we are here in the United States. Well, we have bourbon bond funds, and I've got investors. I got more investors than I have available allocations. There's no reason we couldn't do an Irish whiskey cask investment fund to finance the production and aging of new fill.
Okay.
So we need to talk about this offline.
Yeah, well, let's set up a call on that separately. Because again, that's we're in the process of building our whiskey distillery at the moment. So but it's something that we would see as yeah, there's an opportunity there. So let's have a discussion. We, and with us, we're a small business. Headspace and bandwidth is an issue. So maybe that's something that.
Right. I mean, you have to be able to have your own supply before you worry about that. But yes, but it could also be a way to have financing for your own supply. But it's the model here is basically investors are financing at the new fill costs and the X number of years or months of aging, and then when it sells in the wholesale market, which we're generally selling, but it also could be sold by somebody else. The investors get the net proceeds after the broker fee. So the whole.
So it's an investment rather than
but the producer
investment rather than a kind of a cask program where you're going along for the fun of it.
Right, and that's the thing we can't do in the US. I can't do cask programs where the investors get the output, or get to participate unless they go buy it from the producer afterwards, in bottles.
Okay, well, no, listen, let's set up a separate discussion, and we'll
do that. We'll do that.
We'll tease it out.
Also, I will mention on the subject of contract production, I did have a meeting the other day, and I have a follow-up in 2 weeks with a funding group that is looking to invest in 50,000 barrels. So I might be putting out the APB to everyone to see what can be cobbled together, because they don't have a specific focus on what origin they want it to be. And I know that, Stephen, you don't have, as you mentioned, a lot of excess capacity.
Well, they definitely need some Irish whiskey in there.
That's right. We're going to build a whole portfolio. Yeah.
Are they looking for product that's already finished, or are they looking to set on product?
New fill. new fill barrels that they will sit on, and then they will sell bulk, not end product. But that raises another point. I've had a number of discussions because there's definitely interest on the investor side, and it's the idea of creating an investment fund where the investors, part of it is, yes, they are financing the production, but part of what they're getting, rather than the total, just the cash payout, they are getting some finished goods as part of the return. So because they can't get a cask, but they could certainly get, the output of a barrel, or they could get, 10 cases of finished product factored into that up front. So it's really, it's compliant, and that it's, at the end, it's no different than if anyone were to go to a Woodford Reserve and they have their barrel programs, and it might be $20,000 per barrel, because basically what they're doing, you're not really buying, you're not taking possession of the bulk whiskey, you're buying the output of that barrel, at the retail price, and people do that all the time. Investors don't necessarily do that. People who are, just want to be a fan and have the cool ego piece. But so the idea of coming up with a model where, they're investing a certain amount of money, which covers the cost of production at a profit for the producer, and the cost of aging. But then as part of the payout, rather than them getting, all the net profits of the sale, maybe they're only getting 50% of the profits, and the other 50% are being converted into finished goods, because I still get that question. Oh, when can we get, after we've invested in this, can we get it afterwards? No, you can't. Unless you go to the store and buy some. I'll tell you what brand it is. So we're playing with that.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, let's set up a separate conversation around that, Michael, and we'll progress from there. So yeah, interesting. So yeah, no, look, consider me in, and we'll keep going forward anyway. So yeah.
Thank you. All right. Well, I wasn't meaning to put everyone on the spot to make a decision here. I was just trying to have a discussion. So Stephanie will be following up with everybody on that. And I guess we'll kind of wrap it early today, since we're down to 4 or 4.5. I don't know if Stephen is gone or if he's just off. We're down to 4, but thank you guys all for participating as always. Each of you, I have something to follow up with. Andrew, I want to talk Atlanta market bourbon. Michael, we're going to talk casks. And Stephen, I'm going to share with you info on this purchase. This person who's looking for some unique aged product, and see if we get anything, and maybe we'll all make some money together.
Very good.
Steven, I've got a quick question for you. I know that you mentioned that you are in the Atlanta market. Who were you with again? Was it
Oh,
Savannah?
I'm not, no,
We've actually just pulled out of the Atlanta market because Savannah wasn't delivering, and we made the conscientious decision that we didn't want to spend the resources in a market that wasn't performing. So we're reallocating those resources to regrowing our business now that we've changed to RNDC in California. So I have functionally left the Atlanta market at this point.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Now we might be willing to go back in a small way because we were already there. The other thing that I probably should mention is we were kosher certified in still house number 2. We're now entirely kosher certified. So anything that doesn't touch grape product so anything except our port finish or vermouth finish whiskeys or our grappa is now kosher certified as of last week.
Which we have a really large market for that here in Atlanta. So that's actually
That's why I mentioned it. That's why I mentioned it.
They literally
Andrea?
call me the gin lady here in Georgia, because there's not a single person in the state that knows more about gin than I do. So I was really sad to see, or just to hear that you guys left, because I've always been a supporter of your brand. I mean, I've got a bottle in there right now. So
Well, I really appreciate that, and we've left, but for the right circumstance, we would work with somebody. Where RNDC pushed us to leave Winebow and go with them in California. I think we'd probably have to give them a look in Georgia before we went with anybody else. But just because, I mean, we're now with them in 4 states and including our largest market plus California. I didn't want to leave Atlanta. I think it's a great market. But having said that, you know, our footprint was too wide and not deep enough.
Makes sense.
So, but I'd love to talk if you know, if you want to chat about it offline.
Okay, absolutely.
So great.
All right, thank you all. Have a great rest of April.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Talk to you
Cheers.
soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you guys.